Hey everyone. Well, this is a little bit of an impromptu episode. Um, Tons of stuff going on. I'm sure everyone that listens to this podcast on any bit of a regular basis is very busy themselves and understands that, project starting, projects finishing, all of that good fun stuff just makes for sometimes certain things to be prioritized or need to be prioritized rather. Uh, Tons of exciting stuff going on. Currently, we got one project finishing, one project in the middle, another project starting, two that are robustly progressing through pre-construction, and then of course there's all the other fun stuff that goes along with that. But one of the other main things that I did want to give a shout out to is Modern in Denver, Design in Bloom. We are the title sponsors this year. Danny over there, just immense amount of appreciation for his perspective on the industry, and I've always appreciated what they're doing there. So we have had a great time at the event in the past and decided to be a part of it this year. So that event is coming up at the end of this month. It is May 28th down at Workplace Resource. If you guys haven't gotten tickets already, um, they're all online and stuff like that. I'm sure you'll be able to find them if you're in the industry. We're going to be doing something a little bit different than I think in the past. We're just simply trying to let people know what Fernhill is and what we're trying to accomplish, and the fact that we're proud of it and excited by it, and that there's other people that are proud of it and excited by it, and that the more we feel that we're able to integrate into the community, and I guess the other side of that too is that the more we're welcomed into the community, the better Fernhill is, the better the product is, the better the service is. And I hope that there's other people involved in this industry or that have interacted with Fernhill that feel the same way. So I hope to see everyone there. We're looking forward to it, and I'm sure at the very least it's going to be a good time. So this episode that's kind of impromptu recorded, what I want to talk about is this idea that I've been really aware of, I think, for a long time, but really, really focusing on here in the short term. But it's this idea of storytelling and, like a story brand, that my company needs to be the guide, not the hero in the story. And I think that's the case for any company that's involved in a custom home, because in the end, the client has to be the hero. That is the way that that story is supposed to go. And I think that's not an easy thing. That, there's a reality about these custom homes, and it's not easy. It's not meant to just be a walk in the park. It's also not meant to be the world's hardest thing either. There's different ways of doing this that set people up for success, and there's multiple ways of doing it that set people up for success in the end. And one thing that I guess really trying to spend some time thinking about how to do that I've focused on or have come to really believe in, is this ability to create a relationship with a client where they know that there are going to be inevitable moments where you are going to give them information they might not want to hear. They might, it's very easy to just tell somebody yes all the time. But I've told clients this in the past, and I continue to do so, that if I'm just saying yes to everything, you should be very worried. That's not me doing a good job. That's not me managing expectations. That's not me managing, the outcome of this project. It has to be that when I am suggesting that, hey, we should be doing this, that maybe isn't the ideal option. Maybe it's not the fancy faucet or the super fancy millwork detail in the living room, or whatever it might be. I have to work on educating and developing relationships with clients and designers where when that happens without me saying such, they recognize that that's me doing my job. That is me advocating for them to get a product closer to the brief that we established. It's not me trying to control them. It's not me trying to satisfy one thing in order to compensate on the other. Anything like that. It's us as a company taking our expertise within this industry and applying it to the situation in a way that we think benefits that client. I think that that's a very much easier said than done. And I think it's also why a lot of our clients that we've had the most successful relationships with tend to have some kind of understanding of project management, business, things like that. It's the easiest sell in the world for me to tell you that this is going to be the easiest thing. It's going to take less time than you wanted, and it's probably going to also cost less time than you, or take less time than we wanted it to. That's not setting anyone up for success, because I look at how I want these things to end. And I tell this to clients all the time. The odds of it being that, there's not a moment or two where you're like, gosh darn it, Fernhill, come on. It's probably going to happen. We're going to be communicating for 2, 3 years. And it might not even be that might even be an emotional reaction. That is part of residential construction. It's my job to make sure that the communication chains are always there to provide you the information, hold space for those emotions, within reason, within professional boundaries, I guess. But though it should be that when those moments do come up, though, that you're able to then in turn welcome our input. And there's a reality to that. Say, I've had many clients, as I'm sure everyone, where, hey, this is not this detail. Let's say it's concealed base. I don't view that detail as being consistent with the brief of this project, and maybe it's the budget, frankly, and maybe it's not so much that specific item, but I just don't think that that detail translates over a larger scale to be in alignment with that budget and what it means in the long run. Clients can still choose that detail within reason. I want to make sure that they know what that means. Sometimes, if that isn't figured out ahead of time far enough, or if that's a change, that there's real time impacts and real time delays that occur as a result of that. But, you know, it is their project in the end. It's just that I want them to know that when I tell them, hey, I don't think so, that that's why they hired me. And I have one client right now that I really appreciate him. He is clearly a very intelligent businessman, very successful. And as we've gone through this process, obviously we're creating confidence with each other. Him as my client, me as his contractor, in tandem with the designer. But every time I go, hey, so and so, I let's push the brakes here a minute. Let me dig into this. I don't know. And he loves the term that I always use. I always refer to things as levers. We have to be able to make sure that we always are aware of the levers that we have, the levers we don't have, and if we want or need more or less. And most of the time, without even having to come back the next time, I'll get a text message or some kind of comment being like, nope, Alex, no worries. Take it off the table. You're right. I think that that's the process working. And, it's not going to universally work. There's going to be moments when, human nature gets the better of all of us. And I understand that realities. But the reason I brought this all up is because it is when I tie it back to the Design and Bloom event. That event to me is about relationships within the industry. And then I think about this other initiative that I'm currently focusing on to make sure that I'm the guide. And I have people, we have the people's trust, the client's trust, the designer's trust, the trade partner's trust, and all that. Business is about relationships and the ability to communicate. And the underlying mechanism in all of that is trust. But, it's not just numbers, change orders, or budget reports, schedule impact, analysis, and all this. It's this underlying understanding that we are trying to build something special. We're trying to build something unique. And most importantly, we are trying to build a home. And I think that when I try to communicate to people that I am their guide without saying such, that's the place I actually need to start. That's the place I need to get better at communicating on. And those are the kind of clients that I need to be looking to align with, and frankly, kind of designers, and so forth down the chain. And so I don't know, just something that's been on my mind. And I sure if anyone journals or anything like I do, sometimes just recording these episodes and getting things off my chest. There's probably about 75 of them on my hard drive right now that I will never ever see the light of day, but they were almost therapeutic in a way for me to talk them through, hear myself ramble. Uh, but yeah, that's my thoughts. And if you guys are at Design and Bloom, please come say hi. If we already know each other, um, amazing. Excited to see you again. If we don't, please, especially if you listen to the podcast, because the uh, I want to build more momentum behind this and continue to build the community that it's kind of already created for me, and I hope for other people as well. But just getting that feedback, I can't even tell you, for something that doesn't necessarily have high returns or anything like that, especially on the accounting books, let's say. Just sometimes getting that feedback that there's a level of even small appreciation is it matters. So thanks.